if you build men, men will build the church. I mean, it's a thing of joy when we saw people who were supporting, who now are supporters of others.
Wow.
Every portion God gives me, there's somebody's ration in it. Whether it's tangible or not, any knowledge God gives me is not for me alone. Before I left Nigeria, I was already into ministry. When you get to the UK, you will know that it's not everybody that is in the UK that is okay. My first job I was actually a stock taker.
Oh.
Yeah, but you need to touch it up. That's one of the first things I learned in the United Kingdom. When I arrived, I just knew something was different from the plan that I had. So I knew definitely God wanted me to stay. And this is 20 years and counting. Know how to say no, when to say no. Otherwise, you will be forced to say no because you have no option. Most pastors don't rest. As busy as people thought I was, I knew when to rest. So what does that mean? If I want to rest, I want to rest. No matter what is falling from top. I'm not El Shaddai, so I shall not die.
You're not the type that really likes so much of titles. I noticed very well, you still carry your bag up to date, like coming into church and going out.
Life is simple. I just like it easy. You must learn how to paste before you learn how to copy. I've done Airbnb. COVID came and I just felt it was not for me. One business that I know is just for me forever is real estate. Pasting, number one, must be unique. Your pasting must be relevant. In other words, the way I copy is not the way I paste.
So, Pastor Ralph, why did you decide to pastor?
Wow, I wasn't expecting that.
Diary of Successful Immigrants.
Yeah, so today's episode is one of the ones that I'm super excited about because the guest I have today, normally I would have said when I met you first and stuff. I'm not going to go into all those introductions. I'll just go straight. So, Pastor Ralph, why did you decide to pastor?
Wow.
Yeah, I'll just go in directly because I'm super excited to have you. And don't worry, let's start from there. Why did you decide to pastor?
Well, I wasn't expecting that one as the first question, but very interesting. Virtually every pastor will get asked, how did you get into pastoring? For me, even before I became born again, I had this idea that I could become a pastor. But specifically, how did I get into pastoring? I would say it was a divine encounter. God actually spoke to me to unveil his plan for me. And I had no option but to answer the call of God. Most interestingly, like many pastors, you will first want to deny that, no, I'm not qualified. This is not for me. You have your dreams, but you will get to that point, that this is what God wants you to do.
Yeah. So I'd pick up on that. Did you kind of like add this mind before you left Nigeria, or when you actually got into the UK? Did you get this revelation before leaving Nigeria, or when you got into the UK?
Okay. I think answering that question would be in twofold.
Okay.
So before I left Nigeria, I was already into ministry, and the focus was on youth. I was a youth, and I would just gather the youth and just let them as a pastor. No ordination, no title.
No title.
Yeah. I just call the people together and I led them. We do meetings, we do prayers, we do drama, and that's how it has been. So even before I got to pastoring, I was already doing ministry. And people will ordinarily call you pastor. Then coming to the UK, incidentally, before I came to the UK, a pastor who was the province pastor at the time gave me a letter to a letter of recommendation to start a church in the UK. But when you get to the UK, you will know that it's not everybody that is in the UK that is okay. So I was not okay enough to do pastoring. But on the 3rd of July, 2009, God told me specifically to start what probably we call the church now.
Let's not still go deep into that details. So one of the things I so much like about you is you're very down to earth. Like the first time I met you, I was like, "Whoa, is this kind of pastor?" Like I'll not share much about that, but let me pick up on this part. Why did you leave Nigeria first? I know you came in here for further education. Why the UK? Why leave Nigeria? That's maybe typically where we start from. But I was so excited to quickly take you to the pastoring aspect.
Okay, why I left Nigeria, it was not something I planned. But where I was working, it was not convenient anymore working. So the February of that year, I had to leave work. But before then, I was an accountant. So the account officer just told me, if you're having these challenges at work, why don't you just go abroad, do your master's, come back. And when you come back, your value will have appreciated so much. And that got me thinking. And I have two friends who have taken that decision, and I see how their life turned out. And I just said, well, let's give it a try. And it was just not something I planned, but we arrived there, and I will say to you, no regret at all.
Yeah, so on your way here, did you have the mindset? Let me just tell you, the time I was leaving Nigeria, when I was jumping out of that plane, one of my prayers on the plane is, God, when I return back to this place, let it be on a good ground, because I knew the number of loans my mom had collected, like had taken, and a lot of things like that. So for you, was it more like I'd go and come back? I have a couple of friends that it's a flex. Let's just go do masters. We are back. But then for some people, it's more like, yeah, we are going before you see us.
Yeah, for me, like I said, two people before me, they came for masters and they returned, and their life were, the transformation was there. So when I was leaving, my plan is do a master's, come back, and let my testimony be, added similar to what the other two has achieved. Unfortunately for me, or fortunately, when I arrived, I just knew something was different from the plan that I had. And while, in the beginning, when people were like, oh, I'm not going back to the country I came from, I was like, no, I'm doing my master's and I'm leaving. But towards the end, everything just changed. That I just knew God wanted me to stay at the time. And mind you, I am someone that if you are close to me, you will just know I say, oh, and God told me, and God told me. So I knew definitely God wanted me to stay. And this is 20 years and counting.
Whoa. So I want to speed this up because there are a lot of aspects I want to unravel. So you schooled in Bedfordshire, which is a bit down south, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, it's down south. How did you get to Leeds? And so you just said it's 20 years now. That means you were in the UK 4 years before you started the church. And then how did you move from all the way from Bedfordshire to Leeds and then planting something huge in Leeds?
Yeah, good question again. I arrived in the UK September 2005.
Whoa.
And when I rounded off my program, the master's degrees, it used to be University of Luton.
Okay.
And while we were there, it moved, changed to University of Bedfordshire. I finished and I thought, what next? And a friend just told me, oh, you're an accountant. We need an accountant in the place where I work. I came for interview. And on the 2nd of April 2007, I moved to Leeds. And to be honest with you, I say to people, Leeds is home.
See, there's a lot that you just crapped into one pack like that, because I also know that in that process, I think you got married in the same process, and then you now, you planted. Can you share the testimony of getting married and then kind of starting the church in Leeds?
Okay, getting married. Like I said, before I came to the UK, I've been doing, youth ministry. So when I was in the university, I was what we call a central executive.
Oh, okay.
So when I came to the UK, I just felt the fellowship should continue, some kind of fellowship. I just thought I've been doing this. Why not continue? At that time, the intention was just to gather people who were in the university together. And to be honest with you, I just saw my wife, at that time. And I'm like, whoa, this is a different person to the person I knew, back then in the university. And I just said, well, let's focus on fellowship first. And when I said it to someone who was my wife's friend and still my wife's friend, the first thing was like, if this is a joke, please stop it. I said it to another common friend of mine and they were like, no, if this is a joke, just stop it, because interestingly, my wife was in a relationship.
Oh, okay.
And they were all like, why would you be desiring someone who is in a long-term relationship?
Oh.
But like I said to you, if you are close to me, it's just for God to say it. And I believe it and we pursue, So, yeah, that's the introduction to
that part.
So,
yeah. You celebrated your 50th birthday last year, and the same year the church was 15 years. And in the midst of all the celebration and everything, one of the things that came to my mind was so this man was 35 when he planted the church. You can guess the age of people around you, and planting a church at 35 in a country that you were not born, in a country that you maybe you're just finding your foot, is actually not the best of decision. I actually feel it's very crazy decision. I've been involved in ministry and in church, and in school I was in undergraduate days I was a student chaplain, and one of the decisions I made, I just hope that some of my boss will not see this, is that I don't think I'm going to be the main pastor of the church. I don't mind be part of the pastors. You get it? But to be the pastor in charge, no. Because when you see people bring problems and a lot of things that happen, in terms of core leadership, no. So how was it at relatively now, a 35-year-old person is still quite young, at that stage, and starting a church in a land you don't know anybody? What was it like? What was driving you on the inside? I mean...
Well, To be very honest, probably the church will have started earlier than that.
Wow.
But when you look at the situation, like you rightly said, you need to battle with a young family. You need to be mindful of your immigration status. You need to be mindful of your economic status. It was a tough decision. But when God spoke to me that night, I just knew it was time. And when you walk with God, you just know what you thought was difficult or impossible when you are not thinking, putting God in the equation. It just becomes normal. And when we started, we didn't do the conventional church starting. In other words, there was no Bible study, no group praying, no calling people together, because I asked myself, if I want to start a church and I'm doing Bible study, where are those people from? If I'm doing prayer meeting, where are those people from? I just wanted something that is clean. I wanted a foundation that no one could fault. So we just started on the 27th of September. Just call family and friends together. We have a vision to share. And people gathered on that day. And the following Sunday, which was the 4th of October, 2009, I was driving to church, my wife and I and our little daughter, who just didn't know what was going on. So we just started. And to the glory of God, the day we started, 2 young people joined us.
Wow.
So, and we've moved from strength to strength.
Yeah, I obviously know the church numbers because I'm part of it. But I don't want to leave this topic yet. Now, we've spoken about the God side, on the admin side, on the planning side. Can you share something with maybe a young 35-year-old guy out there or a lady out there that is 30 and that has the same calling? Because I believe sometimes it's not only like those that are out there that God has called. There are a lot of people that God called genuinely, and because of mismanagement, lack of planning, lack of accountability, they were not able actually to carry out. You get what I mean? You now look like, did I hear wrong? So what would your advice be for somebody maybe like they moved from Europe to US to Canada or to somewhere that is totally different from their home country, and God has been laying it in their heart that you should start something here, either a church or a ministry or something? What will you tell them to do?
Just do it.
But the other aspect, the doing it, it's easy to start, but continuing and stuff. What are the things they should look out for? What were the things you looked out for when you were starting?
Very simple. I just had the vision of where I want to be in mind every time. And that just keeps you going. In other words, if you know where you're going, regardless of the disappointment on the way, you know this is your appointment. That just keeps you going.
Yeah.
Everyone who has risen to the top, I believe one of those things that keep them going is that vision, that they just keep their eyes on the vision. All these other things are distractions. I mean, if we want to unravel what we've gone through, we won't live here today.
I know, we have to unravel some.
But what kept me as a person going, and even till now, I know what God told me. But removing the God factor, as it were, not to be too religious, just have that future in view.
Yeah.
And it will just keep you going, just keep you going, just keep you going. You know where you are now is not the destination. I'll put it this way. If you were in an airplane and there's turbulence, do you disembark?
No.
Your destination, if you are going to Heathrow, your destination is Heathrow. Regardless what happens along the way, you know that, that destination is where you have the opportunity to disembark.
Yeah, so it's not like I want to flog this topic too much, but one of the things I want you to share also with us is what are the permissions that you had to get, like in terms of government, like some of the official things that you had to do, because this might be an enlightenment to somebody that wants actually to start something also.
Well, maybe I should reverse a bit.
Yeah.
One of those things that helped me was that I had a mentor.
All right.
So I saw that mentor as a guide. That mentor was someone who was the future that I desired.
Okay.
So I was able to follow in his footsteps. So some of the things we did, we just mirror what he was done. There is no need of reinventing the wheel. So in terms of getting some of those
Permissions.
registrations,
Okay.
I just called his PA. I mean, I didn't hide. I asked a lot of questions.
Okay.
There is no need of reinventing the wheel. If
Yeah.
someone has done something, is where you want to be, then just ride on the shoulders, on their experiences. And one of the things I see that most people don't do, they despise experience. They feel that, whatever I want to do,
I'll do it my own
I'll do it my own way. But one of the things wisdom has taught me is you must learn how to paste before you learn how to copy. In other words, the way I copy is not the way I paste. So
you must have your strategy of pasting it before you start copying it.
Absolutely. Just like in this production now, the raw recording and what you will put outside. They are two different things. So I say to people, before you copy, make sure you learn how to paste. Because your pasting, number one, must be unique. Your pasting must be relevant. And your pasting must be what even the person you pasted from will look at it and like, no, I'm copying from you. So you personalize it, and that helped us a lot. Yeah.
So there's something I want to ask you, and I don't know if I should ask at this point. I just feel like, based on this podcast, is it possible for you to mentor like maybe a couple of people to actually start a ministry abroad? So such that we could put it out there that if you're interested, you get it, we're going to get like 5 to 10 people that would select at random that they feel a call of God on them and something like that. And then you just give them maybe 30-minute session for 4 weeks on something like that. But then they need to know how to paste first. They should have learned their pasting strategy before they start copying.
Absolutely. Incidentally, for instance, there are people I mentor, who it might not be a structured, you are mentoring me. But all those calls that come, we've got this experience, or how do we do this, and all that is something we do, every time. And incidentally, just yesterday and today, we have a vision to plant a church every month next year.
Whoa.
Every third Sunday of 2026, we'll be planting a youth church.
Whoa.
And one of the things that is big in that vision is, as we plant you, you are put together in a place where you can you can be mentored, you can be taught, you can be, just a space where all the churches we plant, we are all there together to hold our hands. So mentorship is something that if you don't get mentored, you will just put more effort than you should.
Yeah. So let me just say this out there to somebody watching. Get in the comment section, share it, and like it. And we're going to pick 5 people at random, and they will have exclusive access to Pastor Ralph, virtually, obviously, not in person, virtually for 4 weeks. 30-minute session of mentoring, but then you should be sure that you have a call of God upon your life to start a church. You get it? And this is one thing that we're offering, just like in other episodes also, that we're getting mentoring and mentorship for different aspects. And thank you very much for that, sir. Now, going to the very, very difficult part, you were talking about some of the things you have gone through on the way. Please, can you share maybe one, let's say, what was the most difficult thing at the start, that you have actually faced on the journey? I want you to share it, not because you want to glorify where we are at the moment, but also to encourage somebody that what is happening at the moment, it's a process. You get what I mean? It's a product of a process rather than rather than something that just happened or appeared all of a sudden. That there was a time we were at this stage, and I also feel sharing such would encourage somebody that was maybe was in your 12 years, 12 years back, he was in that stage, or he's in that stage of ministry at the moment. So can you just share some of those hardest part of being a pastor?
Well, maybe I should start with this.
Yeah.
To anybody listening to me, there will be challenges in life. Mm-hmm. And the way I put it early in life, especially in ministry, is these challenges are giving meaning to your work with God and in fulfillment of your ministry. What do I mean? If you write a sentence and there are no punctuations, it will give different meanings.
Yeah.
So, if an incident in your life, if you don't define it properly, then you will not be able to use it properly. An incident can come to your life and it's just a comma for you to slow down. And if you look at it properly, it's giving meaning to your life and to your ministry.
Yeah.
I will give this, and like you rightly said, this is for somebody to learn. Number one, there was someone who was in the ministry early, and I knew that person was there on purpose. He was very critical of every decision that was made.
Wow.
But I was able, by the grace of God, to define that person as a necessary check at that point. Every other person will his trouble is too much. His trouble is too much. But because I was able to define that difficulty at that time, I was able to look at it as, this is just a check.
Yeah.
So every time anything happens, even if the person is not available, I still feel, how I wish this comma or this apostrophe is here, so that it can give us
some other perspective.
Perspective, So, but if you want to talk about a difficult one, even talking about it, if not for grace of God, one could still be hurting. So this happened April 2016. I'm sure you'll be, I'm so precise about some dates, April 2016, I got a job. And because the job was in the evenings, I couldn't come to Bible study. Incidentally, there was someone who was a mature Christian, so to say, was available to be doing discipleship. So I just said, no problem. It was a new work I would come to Bible study but I might have to leave. Sometimes I come late, sometimes
Yeah.
But he was the one handling it. Little did I know that, like where I used to come from, they said the ant that is eating the vegetable is inside of it.
The vegetable.
He was just dividing the church
Whoa.
without me knowing.
Whoa.
And thankfully to God, I just got an inspiration that this person is sowing seeds. And in fact, he has sown seeds, there is division, But when God just gave me that inspiration, I just came out in public and I said, do you know what? This person is not coming anymore. Do you know that a leader in church called me and said, thank God this inspiration came to you, because they saw the damage this person was doing. But the first question I asked them, but why didn't you tell me? They said they didn't know how to tell me.
To approach it.
With time, we were able to recover. But why it lasted, it was a very difficult time for the church and for me as a person.
Please continue to like, continue to subscribe, continue to comment. And also, if you're interested in sharing your story, please get across to us just by using the contact details you can see on the screen at the moment.
Diary of Successful Immigrants.
I want to move away from like pastoring and all this. In the process of building this church, how were you also managing it with your personal life? Because you've shared a couple of maybe testimonies where I was that there was a time you were working this time and you were doing this, you were doing that and stuff. How were you able to kind of manage it, see the faithfulness of God? For me, like nowadays, the younger generations, we want to be pastors of like, we're driving Bentley, you get? Like, I start church like this week and then in 2 months, 3 months, I'm preaching God's goodness by driving Bentley. You understand what I mean? Yeah. But how was it for you in that process?
Well, I will put it this way, 888. We have 24 hours in a day.
Yeah.
If you can put 8 hours of your work, 8 hours of your extra work, and 8 hours of sleep, you'll discover that you have time for everything. If you look at the President of United States of America, he's busy.
Yeah.
But he still get things done. How
Yeah.
does he get it done? Is to know what is important, what is urgent, and just prioritize. One of the things I would say to every pastor, know how to say no, when to say no. Otherwise, you will be forced to say no because you have no option.
Yeah.
So what does that mean? If I want to rest, I want to rest. No matter what is falling from top. I'm not El Shaddai, so I shall not die. So I know how to, if you look at it, 8 hours, you do work.
Yeah.
8 hours, you do your extra work.
Yeah.
Then 8 hours, I sleep.
You sleep.
You will discover that you can get everything done.
Yeah. So I still want to kind of go deeper in this aspect. Can you actually tell me some of the jobs you've done in the UK? Maybe like your first job. Let's start from your first job. What was your first job? Why I'm asking this is sometimes maybe there's somebody like listening to this. The person is a pastor and at the same time working as a security. And sometimes when they are doing this, maybe it's even overnight security, just be like, is this God even this faithful? You get what I mean? And they just be like, look at this pastor, look at Pastor Ralph. You can see his new car and what the Lord is doing in his life. But then sometimes when you give perspective and context to some of these things, they will just know that it's a process. Yeah. So what was your first job? And
okay, the first job I did, I'm going to push it up. I'm going to explain it. So I was an inventory auditor, my first job in the UK. But if I leave it like that, you'll be like, oh, it started well. But my first job I was actually a stock taker.
Oh,
Yeah, but you need to touch it up. That's one of the first things I learned in the United Kingdom. The same thing, but you can make it sound in a
better.
different way.
Yeah.
So there's a pastor who, by God's grace, pastors through us now. We did the same job, and I saw his CV. He put stock taker. And I showed him the same job, inventory auditor. And I asked him, who will you choose? Obviously, an inventory auditor sounds better.
Yeah.
But I want to talk about the job I was doing when Power Connection started. Remember, the reason I came to Leeds was because I got a job as an accountant.
Yeah.
Things happened, that job, gave way just before the church started. So I had to move into security.
Oh, seriously?
Yes, but if you've learned to touch things up, if I just say I move into security, then it could be cyber security. It could be. But I was actually doing the normal security job.
Oh.
But do you know that was a blessing in disguise? And I say it again, everything that comes to your life, you must learn to define it. Why was that a blessing in disguise? I work at night. What does that mean? I can pray all night like Jesus did. Rather than complaining, the message I will preach on a Sunday, overnight I will have prayed on it. I will have gone over the message 1,000,000 times before tomorrow. I've prayed. To me, that was a blessing in disguise. So I was being paid to stay awake, but I thought this is an opportunity to stay awake, to
fellowship,
to pray, and to do what is in Acts chapter 6, verse 4. Focus on the word and prayer. So if there is a pastor there, you are doing such job as a security, it's a time to
pray, to build capacity.
It's a time to pray, to build capacity. Usually, I used to work on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, most of the time. Do you know, when I get to work on Thursday, the first thing I do is to do follow-up. Because I'm there, I'm just supposed to stay awake. So what can I do? I do follow-up. I call as many people I can call once I get to work.
Oh.
So that was actually a blessing in disguise. However, nobody knew the job pastor was doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's actually like, even me, I never knew like you did. So let me get this out from you. So you were working that job, and the church started. And I know when the church started, you started in a hotel.
Hilton Hotel, yes.
Hilton Hotel. So how were you able to afford that?
I would say God is faithful. There are things people say, and when they say it, people want to ask more questions. In other words, I want to answer this way, but it's not a cliche. It's not being religious. I would just say that God was faithful. For us, any money we made after paying rent and, it belongs to God. It's made available. However, specifically, may God bless the first military financier. It was a young lady. I just won't want to mention her name.
Yeah.
God used her a lot. She was the main financier of the church, apart from the pastor and his wife, who were probably the only working class at the time, because we started with young people.
Yeah.
But God was faithful. God, and is still faithful.
Wow. That's a lot. So you were, but let me just ask, how much were you paying as rent in Hilton?
How much were we paying? Well, let's just say that God was faithful.
No,
because I know at that time people will be saying, "Oh, You are in Hilton Hotel, that means you must have plenty of money.
Yeah.
But I would say, just know that going to Hilton Hotel, God himself took us there. And God sustained his church there. And let's just leave it like that.
Wow.
God was faithful.
You don't want to give too much out. No problem.
Maybe on another episode.
Yeah, no problem. No problem. Thank you so much thus far. So then how were you kind of mixing, because I know like up to even now, I think you still have your own professional career and like the pastoring. So it's not like you're a full-time pastor, at least till last year. I know you mentioned that you were planning to retire from your professional career. I don't know if you've done that or not. But how were you able to maintain your professional career and pastoring? Because they are like two full-time jobs and I know you were doing well, like professionally. So it's not like you were kind of struggling and then just using church to hook it up. How did you balance it out?
Well, I've answered that question. Just prioritize. I was in the bank for about 7.5 years.
Wow.
I just used my time well.
Wisely.
Every time I had, was accounted for. And I will always mention rest, because most pastors don't rest. As busy as people thought I was when I was juggling all these things, I knew when to rest.
Okay.
So while I was at the bank specifically, I knew the work of God must not suffer. So I needed to create or make time for what was needed in terms of the church. And if you look at the profile of the church that God has given to us, you can't just go there and faff around. These are intellectuals. So you need to be at the top of your game. So I had no choice but to make sure every second counts.
Yeah.
Just be faithful to the 24 hours. And like I used to say, if you use every second well, you'll discover that every minute has been used well.
Yeah.
And if you use every minute well, you will know that in the hour you've been productive.
Yeah.
And if you use every hour well, you will discover that day you can give good account of it.
Yeah.
And if you go on and on, it's just being disciplined and making sure every second, every minute, counts.
So I one part I also know, I'm not going to go into that yet, is you also moved into business, and not just one business. You were doing like multiple business at the same time. But let's not go there yet. Let me go back to the church thing. I want you to actually quantify the church progress in terms of so you started, it's 16 years now. After 1 year, how many members did you have?
I cannot but talk about the faithfulness of God. I remember one of those services, God spoke to me before that service and said, growth is coming. And for me, I'm bold enough to say what I believe God is saying.
Yeah.
I came to church and I said to them, God said, growth is coming. That's about 10th to 11th month of the church. By the 12th month, it was like a miracle.
Wow. So how many people, if you could remember or just sample in tens, what was the approximate number when you were talking about growth is coming?
When I was saying growth is coming, maybe we're maybe 20 or so.
Plus children and adults?
Yeah, plus children and adults.
Whoa.
But we were enjoying ourselves.
So let me just say this to the camera straight up. You've been doing ministry for 10, 11 months and you feel you don't have enough members. Just get this into your head. after like 10, 11 months, it was just 20 people. So you don't need to kind of flog yourself that, God, when is the first 100 going to come? When is the first 200 and all those things and stuff? So please get that in your mind. So, sir, the growth you're talking about, I'm obviously sure that it's not the same as what we have today. You get what I would assume it's not the same capacity with what we have today. What did he jump to? What did he jump to?
Okay, yeah, maybe I need to say this. One of the things that helped us a lot was the word that God gave. I mean, if my wife was here, it was one thing we said out to the people. Though it may be slow, but it's sure. It may be slow, but it's
say
sure.
That into the camera. Somebody needs to.
It may be slow, but it's sure. We said that over and over again. We were sure of what God was saying. And that's why I said earlier, you must keep the vision in view.
Yeah.
So what happened? Students came to town.
Okay.
And Power Connections was in the lips of everybody.
Oh.
They came by themselves.
Wow.
And that's how the growth happened.
Wow.
From that 2025, we moved to about 100.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
I mean, I will never forget the day everybody came, we were like, what's happening? But God spoke before then. Everybody, the student that came at that time, it was just power connections, power connections, power connections, power connections. And that's how
it picked up.
That's how it just picked up.
Yeah.
And mind you, we were at Hilton Hotel. These students had to transport themselves from, the
University
student area,
which is like 20 minutes walk.
with
or
like
something.
20 minutes or half an hour walk.
Yeah.
Hilton Hotel is by the train station.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's not that, because we're close to this. No. I remember one day it snowed. And do you know what? The number of people that worked from their hostels to where we were in Hilton Hotel.
Wow.
That day I was like, God, this is just you.
This is just you.
And that taught me something early. And even till now, people can see. I know one thing. I'm not the owner of the church. So I don't look at numbers. I just look to his face. What are you doing in this season? And that's more than enough for me.
Hallelujah. I think that's actually more than enough on that topic also. Yeah. Then were there can you remember any serious setback that tested your resolve, that made you think like, God, you really called me?
I must be honest with you. Yeah. There has been a couple.
Yeah.
But I will tell you this one. After, the incident I talked earlier, it was like a door was open and things just began to, different things were just going wrong. And I will always go to God. I know what you told me. I know what you told me. I will always remember the 3rd of July, 2009, number 25, Noel Place. I will always quote it. In other words, I was on my own when you called me to this. So things just started going wrong. Yeah. Sometimes I'll be preaching to people and I'll be wondering, literally, what does this person, what's in his mind? You don't know who was for you. You don't know who is against you. It was tough. It was tough. There are certain things that I want to say, but I don't know how this will go. Somebody very close to us, I would say the devil just entered him. And you could see the numbers just disappearing. There are some scriptures that, if you read Psalm 35, there's a bit that says, what you don't know about, you are being accused of. But we went through it. It wasn't easy. It was tough. and we're where we are today.
And what were the things you picked out of that season? Because you've mentioned always not putting full stop where you should put comma. What were the things that you picked out of that season? Because I'm asking this for somebody that is watching from out there, and maybe they are going through similar season. And then they might just be able to identify also that maybe this is what God is doing in their life this season.
Two things. One of the things I was saying to myself, and I realized it in the midst of it, that there are certain things that are like spices to life. If it's all rosy, you must put that spice.
Yeah.
That spice must come. If it doesn't come, if it hasn't come, it will come. It's just what spices of life. And again, one of the things I would say is, if those things don't come, how do you build your muscles of achievement? Everybody must build. And it is in the difficult times that those your muscles of achievement are built.
So it's in those times that those your muscles of achievement are built. Let me sink that in for a moment. So moving into like church management now and people management, how do you actually manage different people? I mean, I've managed choir for many years now, at least maybe 10 years in my life, and I've seen different kind of people. And sometimes I always pity pastors. I was like, I just thank God I'm not your pastor. How do you actually manage people? So I'll give you an example. I've heard people share things with me, and I'll just be like, this is common sense. And why can't you just use common sense and solve problem? And I've also heard people share things with me, and even me, like, I was like, you have spiritual problem indeed. So how do you manage like people in general, like such that you're able to keep yourself, keep the church going?
Well, it comes with growth. The Pastor Ralph of today and 10 years ago are different. There are some things, if you ask me, I would have acted differently.
Yeah.
So number one, you must be intentional in learning. And growth. I've become more patient. Some things happen, I'll just look at it. Well, I can't control what he does. I only have the ability to control
what I
do. So I just give people benefit of doubt.
Oh, okay.
So it's true growth.
Yeah.
The more you grow, the more you can tolerate people. Yeah, and also one of the things in people management is, first of all, you must get hold of yourself.
Okay.
Some people, why they manage the way they manage is because they are not sure of themselves. If you are sure of who you are, anybody can be whatever they want to be. It's none of my problem. You get what I want to say? It's none of my problem. I mean, if you want to jump and when you finish, then we can, I'm not too anything that I can't control. I don't bother myself. Even if you abuse me now, the way I react to you, it's in my hands. It's not in your hands.
Yeah.
So, and all that, again, comes with growth. We've seen a lot of things that happen. I've seen it before. So why?
It is what it is.
It is what it is, So I would say growth. We all learn, we all learn. If there's a pastor there, you just feel which kind of people God has given you. It might just be for you to learn. And I feel that the sooner you learn, the more you move to the next chapter. And you will be able to attest to this. I make reference to how our ministers' meeting is. Someone else will come in, I'm like, is this a ministers' meeting? You see how relaxed it is.
Yeah.
A time, it was not like that. You come for a meeting, you are going back home and you are so stressed. But we have now grown. Even if one devil comes there, by the time he sees that all of us are the way we are, the person will just say, you know what, this does not,
it's not a good place
it's
for
not
me.
a good place
It's not
for me.
conducive.
Yeah. So growth, and even the people that are with you, we must help them to grow. And our growth is in different paces. So we give people that liberty to grow. And we all grow.
Yeah, so one thing I also picked from this is that you need to grow out of this fast so that you can face the next one.
That's it.
You get it? So you need to keep growing and keep growing. And one of the other things I want to pick up on you is how did you build the mind for excellence? So I don't know why, but I'm not too much of a time person, you might not believe. Like in terms of being on time and stuff. It's only my wife that knows this. It's a family secret. But people see me like, at a very good extent, I'm on time for things, but I'm not the best with time. And you know the funniest thing? Almost all the pastors I've worked with, they like their service to start by 7. So I'll give you an example. I was like one of my pastors was really very angry with me one time because we were having a concert and we put 5 p.m. on the poster. And 5 p.m. I was just setting up. I was like, Pastor, don't worry. They were meant to come by 5 p.m. so that they will see us set up, they will see us do sound check. And he was like, no, when you say 5 p.m., it should be 5. How did you build that? And it's cut across maybe everywhere I've gone to. You're very, very conscious with time. Even if it's, midweek service sometimes, if the people are not as much as they should be, you just... Even if the choir person is not there, you start singing by yourself exactly the time is meant to start. Has it been like that from the beginning, or it was also another stage of growth that you got into?
Yeah, that aspect. I'll credit my dad, for that, first of all. Then the high school I attended, if you attended that school and you are not time disciplined, then there's a problem. Yeah. So 2 things I will attribute it to. My dad, he was he was conscious of time, and also the high school I attended. And probably if you look at the vision statement of Power Connections, you will see that excellence is part of our watchword. So you can't be excellent if you are not, excellent with time. Yeah. Because everything is time bound. Yeah. And if you've been with me, I'm a proponent of time, even life as time. If you waste it, you can never get it back. So it's something that I've just been there. I didn't need to grow into that. Yeah. It's just something I've learned from a long time in life.
Let me pick up this one on the other part. Now, there's another thing that is very common in your church. In your specific church. The things there are like top spec. So I'll tell you, there's this guy that just moved far from the church. I'm sure he would watch this. He just moved to Australia. I would not mention his name, but you know him. There was a time he was telling me, like, you guys have money in this church. Because he was like, so it was when we got the North Stage 4. And then it was like, how much? I was like, it's like 4,000 pounds. Do you know this can buy a church in Nigeria? So how do you actually, and I've heard, like, when I came to the church, we were using the Motive SF8, and you said you bought it maybe almost 10 years ago and stuff. How did you actually build this, this mindset of, I'm just going to buy the top spec? I remember we got a camera recently. I'm not going to mention the price. The lady producing this was the one that recommended, and I'm sure when she recommended it, she'd be like, they won't buy it. They won't buy. And then when you mentioned the price in front of the church, even me, I was like, that one actually is too much. How did you kind of build the mindset of, like, if I want to do it, I go all out? You get it? We have the best thing in church. And I'd give another example is when we did the screen, and he was like, I want us to change the screen and stuff. And I was like, and before you know it, it was up there. how did you, is it like the money is so there that you just like, yeah, let's just spend it, or is something in your mind?
Well, I think all still boil down to that excellence. If you are an excellent person, that's where you play naturally. For me, I've seen it in life that if you want to buy twice, buy cheap. But if you want to buy once, then go for quality. So I don't, anything that has to do with stress, I just don't like it. Because if I buy what is cheap, for instance, the keyboard you mentioned, when we bought it, it just came out. It was expensive. But one thing that was said at that time, if you buy this keyboard now, it's almost like you are using it for life.
Oh.
If we bought something else, by now we would have changed it. So why don't I buy it once and not buy twice?
That's good. Then I want to pick on this other habit from the church, and it's the habit of everybody getting free transportation. In fact, there was a day I think I went to pick a couple of people just because of the arrangement, and the person was just like, this free transportation has actually been very helpful. It has made me want to go to church. That even there was my sister that said, we've not been going to church because of that. I said, come. So how did it all started? I know the church has more than 2 vehicles now that they use, and people still help each other. What was the genesis? What was the beginning of this?
Well, I think we stumbled on that, to be honest. I mentioned to you that the church started, or we were at Hilton Hotel.
Okay.
And at that time, if you want to come to Hilton Hotel, you won't get parking. To even locate where it is, it was difficult. So the first set of people that came were young people, students that didn't have money. So we saw that they wanted to come, but sometimes they didn't have money, and sometimes walking could be very discouraging. So we just thought, why don't we bring them? And we did it, and I just felt there's no need to stop it.
Yeah.
And I've seen a cycle. People come, they were not driving. Before long, they started driving. So if you didn't give them the option of coming when they were not driving, then when they started driving, you won't have them.
They won't come, yeah.
For instance, there is one of our ministers, a young man, when I was deliberating, should we stop this? He said, Pastor, we can't stop this because I'm a testimony. When I joined this church, I was a young student. And they were bringing me to church. And now, I'm working, I have a car. Why would I want it to stop? So it was something we stumbled on based on the circumstance at that time. Then it's become a culture.
Yeah, so I'm not going to take it deeper now into you as a person. So I'll just give you a very brief, brief intro to this session. So the first time I met Pastor Ralph, actually before I met him, my friend, there's this mutual friend of ours that we were staying in the country I was staying before. So I told him that we're moving to Leeds, and then he realized that we knew Femi together, and Femi was in church and stuff. So I was not like, that pastor solid though. Like, he was even the pastor that encouraged me to buy my card. I was just like, stop stressing yourself and this and this and that and stuff. And then the first day, it was himself and Femi that actually introduced me to you. And you just said, welcome, or you do this, you do that and stuff. But 2 minutes later, you were just like, guys, you need to start buying houses. You need to start doing this. You know me like this. I tell people, there was a time I was into this business. Uber, I think you said you had Uber stuff, and then COVID came and kind of affected it. But I'm always doing this, and that. And it was something that struck me that you had people in your mind. You wanted everybody to do well. You literally want everybody to do well. It's not like you were not the pastor that wants to be you get high up there, and then everybody just figure out their life. Why do you have so much passion like that? The other thing I'd say is you don't just do it the normal way. I mean, everybody wants their members to do well. If you know about a secret today that would help people, you will start broadcasting it immediately. What was the foundation of that?
Well, I think if how do I put this now? For me, if God grace you, I always know that every portion God gives me, there's somebody's ration in it. Whether it's tangible or not, any knowledge God gives me is not for me alone. Even if I buy a car, that car is not for me alone. So that's been a principle we've always lived by. Even before we got to this stage, we just knew that for every portion God gives, there is somebody's ration in it. And we saw that when people succeed, it is easier. Our association is easier. And we just have that joy in seeing people do well.
Yeah.
And Bishop Oyedepo will say, on another side, if you build men, men will build the church. And it's always worked. I mean, it's a thing of joy when we saw people who were supporting, who now are supporters of others.
Wow.
It's fulfilling. It's awesome. It just gives you that joy that some things can never change in life. If you've sown that seed, it will come back to you.
Come back, yeah. And also the other thing is it multiplies in the church. You get it? Like the people are also willing to help others because
It's a culture.
It flows from the top.
It's a culture that has now come to stay.
To stay, yeah. Everybody is willing to help. Like, I know, like, people that help people in terms of job application, mentor them, and some of these things, which is wonderful. The other aspect I want to actually pick on is, like, you're not the type that really likes so much of title, so much of positions, so much of... I noticed very well, you still carry your bag up to date, like coming into church and going out. It's not like pastor is around protocols, let's go out and go and usher pastor into the church premises. Then pastor is in his office, and then when pastor... I say this respectfully, and I don't say it's bad, but I've been to a church that the praise and worship was going on, and when the pastor was entering, they had to stop praise and worship. You get it? And then pastor walked in, and then the praise and worship continued. So I'm not saying it's wrong, you get, but what I'm just saying is, why is your approach so like that? Why are you just the down-to-earth kind of pastor? Like, because the level you are, to be honest, if you want 5-10 people to kind of always line up, when you come in, I mean, it's a given. I mean, you don't even need to say it too much. Just get me some people and let them line up and stuff. But why have you maintained this approach?
Life is simple. I just like it easy. I mean, for instance, some people will see me and call me by my nickname, Ralph T. It doesn't change who I am. And that's what I said earlier. If you are confident of yourself, all those things don't make me, but if you are not sure of who you are, then you add so many other things to make you, and if you look at the man who is our father in the Lord, Pastor Ralph Ibiyeye, what makes him, is humility. Many people don't know. When you see him, probably you see police and all that. That is when he's a guest to certain people. But when he's in his own his church and all that, you see him just going. He carries his Bible by himself and he's going gently. So if that man at that level is living a simple life, why do I need to complicate my life? To me, people that do that, I don't know, maybe, I don't know. I can't explain for them, but for me, it's just not necessary. I would rather live a simple and a free life.
Free life than make you come. Yeah, just on this one too. One thing you also do, which is quite unique, is, there are times that you don't preach for almost 2 months, and it's just different people. You get it? Like, different people are just, I'm not saying like random people. I mean, like within the church, there are times that if people didn't tell you that that's the senior pastor, somebody can come to the church and not even know who the pastor is. How is that approach for you? Because there are places that when you get there, you know that that's pastor, and it's a no-go area. And also the message time is only for pastor. You get it? Don't even. I said this respectfully. I've once said, the man of God said that if you want to preach, you get it, it's not on Sunday and it's not on my pulpit. If you want to preach, you have to look for another place, maybe midweek service, or you look for another place. But Sunday is for me and my wife, which is Pastor Mrs. only. So how is that for you?
If Jesus Christ needed to be identified before he was betrayed, that's to show that that's how Jesus Christ was. He was so free with everybody. So I will still go back to how I answered. I like a simple life, And more so, I believe that everybody God brings my way, he brought them on purpose. Just like from my own end, every blessing he gives me, there's somebody's ration in it. I believe other people also are brought to my life to be a blessing. So if all graces is from one person, then we are just changing the church. But by the time we are enjoying other graces, the church is fulfilled. And if you look at what the scripture says, it gives some apostles, prophets, teachers. For one thing is to edify or to build the church. So I just feel that this life of Jesus, if we really, really want to live that life, then there's nothing we brought that, we will not live when we go. So why hold on to what is not important?
I'm just picking up on that. Also this style that Gio has been using for Holy Ghost Night, that bringing young ministers,
people,
and they share literally the same altar with him, and it's amazing. I'm telling you, like, if you consider Gio's level,
and some children are sharing the same.
Some of them are not yet 30.
That's true.
Yeah, some of them are literally not yet 30. And sometimes when he's even talking about them, like he was taking notes. And I was like, wow, I think it's just something that should be emulated by many actually. Now, the other aspect of it I'm going to go into is the fact that you encourage everybody. I remember the time I wanted to get something, and I was like, Pastor, we said, he said, go and buy it. Just go and buy it. Don't worry. Whatever they say, go and buy it. You remember when I also wanted to get my car? I think you happened to be driving something like that before. I was like, Pastor, I'm looking at this. Buy it.
Well, to me, that's just me, to be honest. Just buy it. Yeah, you have a vision, just do it. But that's the truth. That's me. If you just do it.
Because don't you feel like, this small boy, because then I was a small boy around. It's not long. I just came into the content. Who are you from? Where are you? And you want to start, like some people say, chilling with the big boss or something. Yeah, but then you go and do it very fast.
And to be very serious with you, in my life, I've noticed something. Every level I conquer it forever. I remember the first time I got the country I used to live. Mobile phone at that time was a luxury. The first time I got a phone, I couldn't sleep because I'm like, how will I be charging the phone? But before you know it, it was normal for me. And the first time I got, a certain kind of car, I just discovered that, once I conquer it forever.
Yeah.
So if what I need to do is to conquer that level once, then just keep conquering. And if you look at the decision you took then, if I can remember, we're coming from Manchester, and I mentioned that, you are enjoying, so that's just the way it is. Just do it,
Yeah. If we continue on different aspects, we're not going to stop this podcast. But I want to bring you to the last part of some of the things you do. Why did you actually dabble into business? Apart from like pastoring, doing your normal like 9 to 5, I know then you went into real estate and a couple of other businesses. It's not just one. So how did that come for you? Was it more like God said, my son, it's time for business?
Well, to be honest with you, like I said before, 888, 8 hours of your normal work, 8 hours of your, other things you do, and 8 hours of sleep. It gets to a point in your life, for me, I needed to prepare for my retirement. So I just thought, what are the things I can do? And everything I thought of, you hear people ask, what business can I do? I was asking those questions too. In fact, I would call people, what can you do? For instance, when I did the Uber business, I just thought there is just something one could do. And I preached that to people. Look for what you can do. We don't all have to do the same thing. So, and I just had a couple of Ubers, cars that they use for Uber, get drivers to do it, COVID came, and I just felt it was not for me. I've done Airbnb, but one business that I know is just for me forever is real estate. And like Pastor Matthew Ashimolowo will say, that's the only business that is real. Every other one is not real. And if you can get into real estate, it helps you to
solidify your wealth,
to hold your wealth, and especially in this country, when you understand that terrain and you can get into it, your generation yet unborn will thank you.
Thank you. So what we're going to do is, those 5 people that we're going to pick, I think they're going to get 10 minutes out of that 30 minutes on real estate, because I'm saying this as somebody that has benefited a bit from his knowledge. I think when you wanted to go and buy one of your houses, you took me along. You're just like, let's go now. Let's come and see. You're just like, okay, see around. Bro, Bibi, what do you feel about it? I was like, it's fine. Then in my presence, you're like, I'll do this, I'll do that. And you shook hands with the guy. I was like, wow, this is next level. And before you know it, I think in like 2 weeks or 3 weeks, you collected the key to the house and things like that. So what I'm saying in essence is top in real estate. And I'd beg him, like, please just give them 10 minutes out of that 30 minutes, 20 minutes for ministry, and then maybe 10 minutes of real estate tutorials and stuff. And just to put perspective, you have a master's degree and all those things and stuff. How do you manage family life with all this, like with everything you're doing? How do you balance it? You also mentioned that you rest 8 hours. So,
Well, one of those things that people may not appreciate in the United Kingdom is it helps families to be together. Because if I go home now, I'm just with my family. It just be intentional. And for me, one of the things that helped me again, especially with my son, is because we travel a lot together. It helps us to bond,
to
discuss and all that. So, for instance, if I'm having a meeting on Sunday, you know what I say? I have a young family. Sunday is like a family time. Everybody just sit down, even if you are not doing anything. Just being around
the house,
it makes a lot of difference. And next year, in about a year now, my daughter will be going to the university. What I told myself is, I must use this one year. I must use it well. So if you hear that I'm going on a date with my daughter, it's because I want to be intentional.
Yeah.
If I don't do that, then once she goes to the university, I may never have that opportunity. Because one thing you see in this country, before they finish, most people get jobs. And when she gets job, even if she's close to you, she's already busy.
Yeah.
So we just need to create that time.
Yeah, so young ministers, please create time for your family. You've heard it. We're going to wrap this up now. I think we've been recording for so long. So I'm going to wrap it up with some quick fire questions. Yeah, just some questions just to wrap it up and stuff. The first one is there someone who believed in you even before you believed in yourself, especially in ministry?
Very, very, very good question.
Yeah.
Like I said, I started, even when I was not even sure of my salvation, I just knew I could be a pastor, or God wants me to be a pastor. Let me say this one so that I don't dabble into other ones. There's a pastor who I met many years ago. I think that was 1995, 96. Pastor Teller. I need to mention this.
Yeah, mention his name.
Pastor Yinka Teller. He believed in me when I never even realized the potential I have. And you know what happened? Earlier this year, 4th or 5th of May this year, I traveled to Nigeria to celebrate him.
Wow.
It was not his birthday. It was nothing. I traveled from the UK to Nigeria just to surprise him with a few of our friends. And he couldn't believe it.
Wow.
So that's one man I will always be grateful to God for. He believed in me, Pastor Yinka Teller.
Yeah, thank you. So what personal qualities helped you to rise above the challenges of starting a church in a new country, like in somewhere that you're not?
Just faith. I'm just one. I believe God gifted me with faith. Like you've mentioned a couple of times, when anything comes and I believe it is, I just do it. And that's how I encourage people. You see a house you want to buy, just buy it. Yeah, even the way I speak sometimes, we want to buy this building, 1 million. Say, don't worry, we'll buy it. Not necessarily that the money is there, but do you know what? God always honors the faith of his people.
Yeah. So what strategies or habits has helped you? No, I think you've mentioned a lot of that. I'm not going to say that. What legacy are you building for the future?
Well, one of the things I will say, for the church, for instance, I am mindful to build that the church that I pastor now, whoever takes over from, in the future, would see, number one, a solid structure and foundation. And number two, if not for anything, their finances would have been invested in. So, and if you talk about maybe my family, for instance, I'm just building a legacy that there are some things I don't know how to put them, but I just know that they will look back and be thankful for some of the things that we've put in place for them.
Yeah, so what's the most powerful lesson the UK has taught you about actually pastoring a church?
One of the things I would say, like I said, you need to learn to define everything that comes to you. It's not everything, even if it does not look good, but there's a good inside of it.
Thank you. Yeah, the final one, which obviously is always the final question for everybody. If your story were to be a headline, what will it be? What will it say?
He came, he saw, and he conquered.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much, guys. This is Diary of Successful Immigrants. It's been a pleasure having you, Pastor Ralph. Thank you so much for your support. Just to let you know, the first time I shared the idea of this podcast with him, he was like, yeah, do it. In fact, he encouraged me so much that I had to build the studio. I'm telling you, you remember that time? I just, initially, I wanted to just start it somewhere, anywhere. And he was like, no, do it, put this into it and stuff. So he encouraged me so much that we had to build a studio, we had to build wonderful team and stuff. And so thank you so much for watching and for listening to today's episode, this Diary of Successful Immigrants. And thanks to our sponsor, Kofa Juice. I also feel like just saying shout out to the production guys today. Okpebola, thank you very much. Toby, Angel, thank you very much. And Tammy Sachs, thank you so much. Have a nice time, guys. See you next time.